Hello students. A second topic that our professional topics did not cover was the Arkansas Association of Instructional Media, and this I believe is a very, very powerful organization that you can belong to that will help you as a school librarian but also as a 21st century educator, because it is a lot about technology. This organization is tasked with several objectives. It is affiliated with both AECT, which is the Association for Educational Communications and Technology, which is a professional organization for educators and others whose activities are directed toward improving instruction through technology. To me, that's any 21st century teacher and learner. The AASL, the American Association of School Librarians, is the other affiliation, and that's the only professional membership organization dedicated specifically to school librarians and the school community. But some of the objectives that AIM, which is the shortened the acronym for the Arkansas Association of Instructional Media, include that it is to promote the application of educational media as a means of improving education, particularly literacy. So there comes our school librarian, one of our hats, to promote the study of ways for improving education through the use of educational media, to foster cooperation and coordination among institutions, agencies, foundations, and organizations that have concern for and with educational media. Also to provide leadership and development for the varied interests, institutions, and efforts of educational media. So one of the main things is the annual conference. It is typically held in the spring. There are future dates already scheduled. In a few years ago, the organization ran into problems with spring break because they plan 5 to 6 years out, when 5 or 6 years before there was the statewide, everyone was going to have the same spring break. A few years the conference ran into either the beginning of or the end of spring break, and it begins on a Sunday and it runs on a Monday and a Tuesday. So you can earn anywhere from 6 hours of professional development up to 18 total if you can go all 3 days. Now, some schools with testing and other things that go on in the spring, they don't always count your professional development on that Monday and Tuesday because those are school days, but you could still earn your hours on the Sunday. And this is something that I have always been a member of. 17, 18 years ago when I was finishing up my own library degree, that was something that Dr. Jody Charter, the late Dr. Glenda Thurman, and Dr. Selvin Royal all said, this is something, if you do not do anything else, make sure you are a member of specific professional organizations, and AIM being one of the key. So this next year in April, it's at the Little Rock Marriott, and then in 2019 it moves up to, they try to keep it in Central Arkansas, and then they go up to Northwest Arkansas. We really haven't gone to Northeast Arkansas yet, just because there isn't a venue large enough, and then it will move down to the Hot Springs area. It kind of rotates between those 3 places. So it goes from Little Rock to Rogers, then the next year it will move down to Hot Springs, and it will stay there for 2 years, then it goes back to Little Rock for a couple of years. So you can start plans now to go ahead and attend. Several things that you might want to be aware of if you're a member of AIM. There are awards that are geared specifically for school librarians, for library media programs, and for technology leaders of the year and administrator of the year, that ties with support for effective school library media and or technology services. So those are some things that that you might want to be aware of. There are also scholarships that are available for students working on a school library degree. So they're valued at $1,000. There are two different scholarships that a lot of our UCA students have been awarded throughout the past several years. You have the Heloise Griffon, and then you have the Margaret Crank Amps Scholarship. Margaret Crank Amps was the ADE school library leader for years before Shirley Featheroff took that position, and then Cassandra Barnett is in that spot now. But this is something you will most definitely, if you still have another couple of years to go, you might want to go ahead and be thinking about the scholarship for this year. Now, this is still last year's application, but it's usually due somewhere in early February, early to mid-February, so they can have it awarded by April. So I'll try to share information as soon as the new scholarship application comes out. Most of the other library media instructors will do that as well, but keep this in the back of your mind. Okay, going back to the annual conference, we're going to look at the program from this past spring, and just know that for a small amount of money that you would pay, and it may seem large, it's I think under $150, you get the 3-day conference, you get your dues paid to be a member of AIM, so you have access to a listserv that you can ask questions of other practicing school librarians and other technology people on a daily basis. So to me, that is completely worth it. But the other thing that the conference offers, it has amazing ties and connections that you can make with local authors. And typically they'll bring in one large, big name author, and then they will also bring in keynote speakers that are some of those people that you may follow the blogs of. So if you have not heard of Gwyneth Jones, she's the Daring Librarian. She's a blogger. She was amazing. She had such good things to talk about. Even Mr. Shu came as well. Those were my two favorite keynotes from this past year. But we have had Shannon McClintock Miller. We've had authors like Jordan Sonnenblick. We have had Neil Schusterman as our author person. So there are just tons and tons of resources that you can get from this conference, and it's local. You don't have to travel somewhere far away to be able to access those resources. And then beyond the keynote speakers, you also have access to breakout sessions that are about reading, or they will be about teaching research to your students. There are all different types of library-related topics that would help you and assist you within your own library media program. Typically, membership runs from conference to conference, but in the meantime, if you are a practicing school librarian right now, you are taking your very first class with us, but you've already walked into a school library and you're struggling, and if you need help, I would highly recommend you can go ahead and join using the online membership form. And at this point in time, it will run until next May, but it is $30. Except as a student right now, you would only have to pay $10. So if this is something that you've got an extra $10 right now, and you really want to be able to see some of the things that practicing school librarians are discussing and talking about, I would definitely recommend that you go ahead and join even now, especially as a student with that $10 price. So that was the topic for our professional topic, Arkansas Association of Instructional Media. again, I highly recommend this be one of those organizations that you put on your list to join.